No, the title isn't wrong. I am 21 years old and I have sold over $100 million in contracts in my lifetime, which isn't very long, right? I've only been selling for the last couple of years, right? And it's allowed me to afford this $2 million house on the beach. You can see the beach right there. So if you hear any wind or anything, it's because of that. It's fucking windy outside. But anyway, right? On this video, I'm going to be explaining to you how I've done this. This is going to be a completely raw video, but I'm going to get to the point with everything that I talk about. Right, a little bit of background about me. I work for the #1 phone company in Australia, potentially could be the world, right, which is called Telstra. That was my first sales role and I made a couple million there. And then I moved over to the second phone company in Australia, Optus, right? My first role, I was talking to customers. My second role, I was talking to business people, right? And that's how I made a large chunk of my money. And then I came online and I started to sell there. My first program that really took off, right? I enrolled over 300 people in a single fucking month. I'll put the screenshot right there, right? And I sold those people personally. I've also helped other people. I've been a part of other sales teams where I've made millions and millions of dollars for some of the biggest people in the entire world. Right now, I train people, I place people, etc., and I manage sales teams, whatever. Right, but I want to emphasize for if you're younger, right, or you're my age or a little bit older, sales is the key to success. When you know how to sell, when you know how to get into that little psychological war with people, you're off to the fucking races. I promise you. I promise you. Because everything is sales. Everything. Sales is just communication. Sales is just building a relationship. Sales is just making a fuck ton of money, right? But the truth is you currently have the sales traits already, right? You communicate with people on text. You talk to people at the grocery store. You refer people to a movie, right? When you refer someone to a movie and you're telling them how great it is, how good it is, everything about it, and you're selling them without actually knowing it, they then watch that movie and then that movie then has another watcher, which equals more money. So I want to emphasize how important this actually is before I actually tell you how I did it. Seriously, because people don't actually talk about the importance. If more people knew how to sell, aka communicate, the world would be way better off, right? Because people just struggle with simple communication. If people could understand other people more, right? That's another big part of sales, understanding other people, understanding what their problems are, how they can overcome it, what they've tried in the past, etc., etc., etc. When you understand people, you can sell without selling. So in this video, I want to tell you what I did, how I did it, how I have a 100% close rate for people in Australia and above a 70% close rate for people around the world and about a 90% close rate for people that have money, right? And how I've been able to train hundreds and thousands of other people, well, hundreds, not hundreds and thousands, but hundreds and thousands, okay, of people to do the same, right? So buckle in, put on your fucking seatbelt, because the truth is, a lot of you guys think sales is this sleazy salesman card. You think it's boring, aka sales equals boring. That's not quite the case. I don't believe that, right? Because sales is the most fun fucking thing ever when you really understand it. For example, I'll give you an example, right? This wasn't the first house that I went to, right? I went to another house before this, nice 2-story house in the suburbs, right? It was a couple $1 million. I went there. There was like 50 other people that tried to apply for that house. So for me, I was at a disadvantage. I had the money, the funds, etc., but I'm 21, right? Which automatically drops my authority. So what did I do? I went over to that interview. I'm gonna say it's an interview, but at the inspection, I went there and I sold that motherfucker like a motherfucker, right? I sold her on giving me the house. I'm not even fucking with you. So how did I actually do this? You're about to learn some key traits right here. Psychological war. That's how I sell. I sell psychologically. I tell people on sales calls, I tell people when I meet them, I'm not going to sell you. I don't sell. You sell yourself. So me knowing how to sell and how to be, psychological, I made her sell herself on me. How did I do that? I would talk about her. I did a little bit of research on her on Facebook, and I learned that she's a coach, she's into like mindset and wellness, etc., etc. So what did I do? I went to that interview fucking prepared. I was like, hey, I saw you on Facebook. What you do looks super sick. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Because how you help this person do this, that's fucking unreal, right? That's crazy, right? So I'm making her talk about herself. That's one thing that you need to realize in sales. People, especially business owners, so if you're talking to business owners, this is key. People love to talk about themselves. They could talk forever about themselves, right? When they talk about themselves and when you seem interested, they're like, fuck, someone's actually interested in what I do. That's rare, right? Because when do you really have people coming up to you interested in what you do? Rare, right? But when that person does seem interested, you're over the moon, you're excited, you're thrilled, right? So that builds that relationship with you and that person, whether this is in sales or whatever, right? And relationship building is the key, because a lot of the reasons why people struggle to sell and struggle to communicate is because they're needy for the cash, right? Most people get onto calls and like, money, 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 give me the money, right? They don't build relationships with the person that they're talking to, and then they wonder why they don't buy it, and then they wonder why their close rate is so low. I went to the house and I was talking about everything that she did. Now, I'm also a coach, so what did I do? I leveraged that. So I said, so what did I do? I was talking about me and her and building that relationship. I was like, I completely understand. There's not that many, coaches over in Australia, are there? I feel like there's not that many of us. We need to stick together, right? Like, I understand how hard it can be and how lonely it can be. I get it. But you're fucking smashing it. I saw on Facebook how you help this person, that person. So I'm building authority by saying, okay, I'm a coach just like you, and I know what you've gone through, and I've built relationship. Now, there's one thing to realize with communication, it's tonality. Now, tonality is two different things, body tonality and actual speaking, right? A lot of the times you might have people come up to you like, blah, 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 blah. And their hands are straight, like, blah, 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 blah. And they're not selling shit. And both of these tonality points are extremely important because we aren't just listeners, but we're visual listeners as well. Our eyes and our ears, I say, are connected to different parts of the brain. So if you're just trying to talk, explain a point without your hands, you seem weird, don't have that much authority, no relationship, etc. You don't seem like you know what you're talking about, even though you probably do, right? But if I had the hands and I'm talking with my hands, there's emotion, right? And people make emotional decisions. So there's emotions. I'm getting my point across. I'm building authority. It's like I actually know what I'm talking about, even if I don't know what I'm talking about, right? If you just use your hands, you're like, yeah, so crabs live up to 150 years. Did you know that? They've got this hard shell on the back. It's red when they turn gray. And then when they're yellow, they go up into the sun and then they pray to the moon and the gray. Do you know what I mean? It looks like I know what I'm talking about without knowing what I'm talking about. I don't know fucking shit about crabs. So I did this and I was asking her questions about the house, telling her how amazing it was. But most importantly, I was building that relationship with her, right? Because I know that every single person that went to that house, they care about one thing, the house, right? AKA people care about the money, which means that they just completely disinfect that, for example, the person at that house is an actual person with feelings, right? And they need that relationship. It's the exact same about money, right? People just go into it wanting the money and only thinking about money, etc. And what can I gain rather than what can I give to this person, right? Another thing that you need to realize about sales is that it's give, and then take. Not give, take, or take. Right? That's the biggest thing about sales, and that's honestly rule number one. There's nothing crazy about that. There's no tricks, tips, or fancy things. It's just giving, right? Because when you give so much to someone, whether this be your emotions, your tonality, right, experience, just helping them as much as possible, right? They're going to feel either one, obligated to give it back without you asking, or two, they're going to subconsciously do it. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is fucking crazy because that's where we make most of our decisions. For example, something that I get a lot is I need to think about it. And you might get this with whatever you do. I need to think about it. Whether this, I need to think about going out for dinner, I need to think about getting this ring, I need to think about buying this $10,000 product, whatever. I need to think about it. Now, here's how you actually answer that question without coming across as salesy, without coming across as a dickhead, and without it feeling like you're being too pushy. I completely understand, right? Going out for dinner at this time might seem a little bit weird, right? But can I be completely honest with you? Most people, 99% of people that say that they want to think about it, they're not. What they're actually doing is they're subconsciously thinking of reasons to not do it, right? So have you ever said in the past where you were going to do something and then as time went on, it started to kind of drift away and you either forgot about it or you just didn't do it, right? That's your subconscious mind giving you reasons to not do the thing that you want to do, right? So you said that you want to go out for dinner to this nice place. So why do you need to think about it? Right? Why give your mind the chance to overthink and overthink? That's why you're in this position in the first place. 5 months ago when you wanted to do this, but you didn't. But if you did, then you wouldn't be in this position wanting to do it again because you would have already experienced it. It's like the food reference, but let's say the money reference, right? I completely understand. But can I be completely honest with you? 99% of people that jump off of this phone call saying that they need to think about it, they just don't come back. Do you want to know why they don't come back? Because what we do as humans is as time goes on, we subconsciously think of reasons to not do the things that we want to do. Right? Have you ever wanted to go out for dinner, right? And you said, okay, I want to go to this place. And as time went on, you just didn't do it. Or that ring, or that piece of jewelry, or that piece of furniture, or that house, that thing you really said that you wanted, but you said you were going to think about it for no real reason. And as time went on, you just didn't do it, right? I'm going to be completely honest with you. That's why you're in your position in the first place. You booked this call with me, or you're talking to me for a reason. Okay, again, you had that intent. You wanted that help. You need this, right? But as time went on, your mind subconsciously gave you bad thoughts, which makes you not feel confident in the thing that you were confident in doing. Because you got to realize your life that you have right now is always going to be there. That car that you drive, that job that you have, whatever you're doing right now, okay, it's always going to be there. Opportunities aren't. And I'm sure you've experienced that time and time again, because again, that's the reason why you're on this call or talking to me in the first place. So do you really need to think about it? Or do you need to go off your first instinct and your first thought and actually change your life starting from today with this decision? And then bang, right? That's how I close a lot of deals. I've closed like millions of dollars of deals with that, right? And you can kind of pick that apart and dissect that as you want, because there's a few things that went into that, a few psychological things, me, throwing rocks, which I'm going to talk about in a second, right? You can kind of dissect that, but that's how I answer that without coming across as salesy and with them selling themselves. Right? The biggest thing with sales is that you want and you need them to admit it. Because if they don't admit the thing that they're struggling with, then they don't think that they are struggling with it. Right? So what most people do is they're telling them, dude, you're fucking fat. Dude, you're unhealthy. Dude, you need my cryptocurrency. Dude, you need to start dropshipping. You need this. You're telling them. They're thinking, what the fuck is this person telling me? They don't know shit about me. What the fuck? You need them to say it themselves. So here's where throwing rocks comes into the equation, and it's pretty fun, right? And again, you can do this with anything, because again, sales is the most diverse thing in the world, right? It can be going to dinner or whatever. Use this to get a house, right? But sales is something that you can use with everything. So here's what I call throwing rocks at the enemy. Now I do this on every single call. Whenever I'm selling something or I want to get something, I throw rocks at the enemy. So what does that mean? That means creating a red ocean from a blue ocean, right? Because you need to realize in sales, 99% of people get grouped up into one ball of just salesy salesmen. All right, that's why only about 15% of people are actually successful in sales, right? You're gonna be in that 15% if you fucking listen to me, right? But when you throw rocks at enemies, you're bridging that gap between you and everyone else. Because let's be honest, everyone sells like the same shit. Like you can be another fitness coach out of 100 million fitness coaches, for example, or you can do this or do this or do this, but there are so many people doing it. That could be a reason why you're not doing it, because you're thinking, oh, there's so many people doing this, it's saturated, whatever. Right? Do you want to know a secret? You could be in that percent where it is saturated, or you bridge that gap, right? Which creates a natural, blue and red ocean, which separates you from the pack, right? And the way that you do that is by throwing rocks at the enemy. For example, someone came onto a call with me the other day. He said, hey, Nathaniel, I've tried dropshipping. I bought a dropshipping course 2 years ago, etc. I took that and I remembered it, and throughout that call, I was throwing rocks subtly. I was like, I completely understand why you think this could be risky. I mean, you bought a course that was just enrolling everyone and then just kind of fucked you over in the end, right? I get it. You can't do is get one bad apple and then think every apple after that is going to be bad as well. So that's me just throwing rocks at the enemy, creating that gap between me and that person that they bought from before. Because a lot of the times in sales, people have bad experiences, which makes them not buy something in the first place, right? Whether they bought something in the past, whether they bought a car or whatever in the past, right? They bought something and they had a bad experience, and then they think every experience after that is going to be bad. Again, that's their psychological mind. So it's your job as the communicator to be able to express that gap between you and them, which is creating that gap, which is throwing rocks. Okay, because when you throw rocks, you build authority for yourself, right? And again, you're showing them that you're listening, which means that you care. And you're showing that you're not like everyone else. Okay, so you could be another fitness coach, but then you could also not be another fitness coach. You know what I'm saying? For example, if I was a restaurant, right, and there was another place around the corner selling the same thing, and I was over here selling the same thing, right, I would throw rocks. Yeah, you can 100% go to them. They're just around the corner, right? But I heard that their pasta just isn't as fresh. So just keep that in mind when you go there, right? So you just maybe don't order the pasta, but have fun, right? For example, right? And what you're doing is you're coming across like you care and, nonchalant, and it's subtle, but you're subtly throwing rocks at the enemy. So this is something that you need to do with everything, right? Don't be a hater or, don't talk shit about people. That's not what this is. It's subtle rocks, like with Apple and fucking Microsoft, or Nike and Adidas, right? They're just throwing rocks at each other subtly, right? Or for example, we have a place in Australia called Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King, right? And McDonald's, they are competitors. Now McDonald's came out with the Big Mac. Do you know what Hungry Jack's did? They came out with the Big Jack. The Big Mac and the Big Jack, literally the same fucking thing, right? What Hungry Jack's was doing is throwing rocks at the enemy, saying, yeah, you can go with these guys, but our patties are flame grilled, 100%, Australian beef, whatever, and the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's, right? So they just took something of theirs, which is popular, put it into theirs, came up with a new catchphrase and said basically this is better, and then it was their number one seller, right? Throwing rocks at the enemy. Now let's talk about the ACA framework, right? The ACA, A-C-A. Now again, you can use this with everything, because I know a lot of you guys aren't even in sales at all. You just want to be better in life, which is great. Use the ACA framework. Ask, acknowledge, ask. Because what happens a lot of the times is, for example, in sales, people get onto calls and they ask a question. Hey dude, what's your partner do for work? They answer the question and then the salesperson goes, great. So what have you tried in the past? So they asked a question, what has your partner done? They got the answer, right? But then they just said another question, right? This is the biggest problem. And I think this is a problem that gives sales a bad rep, is that sales reps are just constantly asking and asking and asking questions rather than asking a question, acknowledging. So actually saying, okay, I give a fuck, basically, and then asking another question. So ask, acknowledge, ask. Now this is with everything, because remember, people are fucking selfish. They only care about themselves. So if you're talking about them, just asking a bunch of questions without actually acknowledging what they're saying, they're probably thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Right? So ask a question, acknowledge it. So what does your partner do for work? Yeah, she works in the fitness industry. Dude, that's super fucking sick, right? I've always, to be honest with you, as a kid, I dreamed of working in the fitness industry because it was just something that I thought would be a good work-life balance. Is that the case? And then, yeah, it is, right? Because she's always working out, she does what she loves. Like, dude, that's sick, right? Because I know nowadays it can be kind of hard to find something where you're actually passionate about it and you have things that you can gain from it, right? Because obviously she's earning decent money and she gets to stay fit on top of her game and help other people. I mean, you can kind of see why I wanted to work in the fitness industry, right? And then bang, then you ask another question. So you ask it, you acknowledge it, you build off of it, maybe you ask a little subtle question in there, and then you ask another completely different question, and then you do the same framework. Now, I use this in text messages and taking phone calls, right? Because with me, I've made over $100 million doing a lot of different things in sales. I've worked in corporate. I've worked for the biggest companies in the world, right? I was the youngest person at the biggest phone company in the world. I was the youngest person in the second biggest phone company in the world. I've worked for massive online coaches in business, e-com, dating, etc. I've worked with massive influencers. I've built my own things, right? So I've done appointment setting, I've done remote closing, I've done closing, I've done it all, right? But I use the same framework. You can use this for anything. ACA framework, don't forget it. ACA. This framework has honestly changed my life. Now, one more thing that I'm going to tell you. The start equals the end. So what does that mean? Most people are going to tell you everything you need to know in the first minute 30 of a conversation. Okay, for example, a lot of people get the partner objection. I need to talk to my partner. I don't get that objection. Why? Because at the start of the conversation, I ask, so are you wanting to make this life-changing decision for just yourself, or do you have like a family and a partner or something that you take care of as well, right? And when you ask that question subtly, okay, flowing without coming across as a sales question, right? They're going to say, yeah, I've got a partner, whatever, right? And again, I ask that in the first like 40 seconds. And when they tell me, yeah, I've got a partner, I then say, that's sick, man. Would she need to be on the call if you were to make any decision at all? Again, not coming across as salesy like I'm going to sell him, but just, reassuring him if there's any decision at all, right? They're either going to say yes or no. If no, then you continue with the conversation. If yes, you say, great. So what I can actually do is, so we don't have to, I've got to talk to you and then her and then relay this and that, this. Wouldn't it be easy if we just book a call tomorrow? You, me, and her can all jump on and we can actually just go through the information together. How does that sound? Bang. So instead of just wasting a full hour of your time and then getting the partner objection at the end, because the person told you at the start, you can finish it at the start as well, right? So, I kind of lost track, but I gave you some more information. The start equals the end, right? So how you start a call and the answers that you get equals the end. Okay, so a lot of the times people get objections at the end of the call. I don't. Why? Because I probe and answer those objections at the start, whether that be money. So if they come onto the call, hey dude, how are you? Dude, what do you do for work? I'm not working at the moment. I'm actually studying in uni. Well, if you're fucking smart, you would know that uni costs money and they're not working a job. So it's probably going to be the money objection, right? Or the partner. Or if they come onto the call and you're asking a couple questions and they're like, yeah, I tried a couple things in the past, but it didn't quite work. They're going to have self-doubt. They're not going to be confident. They're going to not trust the process. So now you know that they need extra work, right? So one thing that I tell people is stop asking pointless questions. Only ask questions that actually have meaning, right? Because a lot of people ask stupid questions that they gain nothing from just to have a conversation. You need to be asking questions that you're actually going to get a good fucking answer from, right? That's how you make money. That's how you don't get objections. That's how you can have 40-minute conversations and fucking pay in full 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. I've sold $100 things, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, and $150,000 things. It's the same fucking process, just more money, right? So remember, the start equals the end. However, whatever happens in the start of the conversation in the first 5 minutes is going to equal to the end of the conversation. So whatever happens at the end. But I will leave it there. I hope you did enjoy the video. I fucking enjoyed making it because personally, I love to give information that's actually going to help people, right? I've done all this at a young age, I know, but I've got so much more that I want to do in terms of helping people do the same. So if you liked it, fucking like it or comment or whatever, right? Feel free to give it to a friend or a business partner or someone, right? If you feel like they need these sales tips. Or if you're training people, give this to them because this can change everything for you. I recently had someone that I was working with, right? He became a closer, right? A remote closer. So he was taking phone calls. He had like a 10% close rate and he made like $2,000 in a week. I fixed these couple things that I just told you in a matter of 3 days. He did over $38,000 in contracts, right? That's how serious this is. So again, use this in life, use this in business, use this for whatever you want. It's been your boy, Nathaniel fucking Greengrass. I'll see you in the next video. See you then.